Hey guys, Brett Weiss here. Welcome to another video. I am in Wylie, Texas at the best little toy museum in Texas. We're going to show you guys this amazing museum. It's small, but it is packed with toys, action figures from a bunch of different movies and TV shows. A lot of science fiction, a lot of horror, a lot of superheroes and more, a lot of sitcoms. It's incredibly cool, and it is out in the middle of nowhere. Wylie, Texas is near Plano, which is north of Dallas. It's incredibly cool to have such a interesting place out in the middle of nowhere. Let's check it out. Let's go inside. At the end of the video, we'll have a quick word with the owner of this place. It opened up last year, and just his thoughts behind opening it and what it took to open it and all that kind of stuff. Let's go inside. There is an arcade as you enter. We'll take a look at that a little bit later, along with some video game related action figures, but let's go straight to the dioramas. It's pretty amazing. I've never been to a museum quite like this that has so many movies, TV shows, different intellectual properties represented. It's pretty phenomenal. Everything from Star Trek, the original series, going all the way back to things like Laurel and Hardy and Betty Boop. Now, the museum has an interesting variety of old and new as far as when the actual items came out, the toys and dolls and action figures. It does go in chronological order within each movie and TV show, but you'll definitely see a lot of new figures here, which is pretty neat. When you think of museums, you think of vintage, which is great, like this Howdy Doody figure here. But you don't get to see a lot of the modern stuff, which is really interesting when you see it all together like this, because the figures are so realistic. They look like the actors, and it's just amazing to see everything from White Christmas to the Little Rascals, even Mr. Clean. Who remembers Mr. Clean? Forbidden Planet, one of my favorite movies of all time. To the Moon, Alice, James Dean, and we will definitely get to some more modern stuff. Kind of try to go to a little bit in chronological order here, because that's how the museum is laid out. It's very nicely done, and I didn't quite know what to expect coming out here, and it definitely lives up to the billing. Best little museum in Texas, because it is small, but there is a ton of stuff here, including Planet of the Apes, top 10 movie of all time for me, for sure. And I like how each one, like I said, is laid out like a diorama with posters and things in the background to provide it a really nice atmosphere. Monty Python. Just from exhibit to exhibit, just didn't really know what to expect. I definitely grew up watching Starsky and Hutch. My son would love this Jaws display. Here's a good example of a vintage, that game there and the manual there. That's really old, vintage, pretty valuable, mixed in with the new figures. Oh man, Dukes of Hazzard. That was must-see TV back in the day. Oh my gosh, and look at this. Daisy Duke's Jeep, that's vintage. Extremely cool to see the old and new mixed in. Battlestar Galactica, one of my favorite shows of the 70s, and I love the remake as well. Again, the modern figures are so cool. Star Trek the Motion Picture. That was kind of considered a pretty bad movie when it came out, but I think in modern times people have just started to see it as a long episode of the original TV show, which I really like. Star Trek the Motion Picture. With a new Alien movie out, this one's timely. Flash Gordon, one of my favorite characters of all time. Very, very cool. Nice Indiana Jones display here. Saw all those movies in the theater, of course. Road Warrior. Ryan and I just watched the original trilogy. That first movie doesn't really hold up super great, but it's a lot of fun. Anyway, the trilogy was a lot of fun to watch. And the A-Team. So cool. For some of these displays, you've got mashups like the Green Hornet and Speed Racer. And my wife's favorite, the Brady Bunch. And I like that they don't, like for a particular property, like Rocky, they have the original movie separate from the other movies because it is chronological. Happy Days, used to love that show, at least the first few seasons. Love the horror stuff, of course, as you guys well know. It's a cool vintage item, this Charlie's Angels lunchbox there. The first season had Farrah Fawcett, and then I liked Cheryl Ladd in this. She's great. Who do I like better, Farrah Fawcett or Cheryl Ladd? Can't go wrong with either. Blues Brothers, cult classic. The Black Hole, that's an interesting property to have here. You just don't know. Like I didn't see Land of the Lost or Friends, but just about everything else. Old and new. The Shining. Me and my friend Johnny used to watch this movie all the time. He had it on VHS and we wore that sucker out. Halloween still holds up remarkably well. Love the atmosphere of the film. May not be as violent as you remember if you haven't seen it in a long time. There's Rocky 3, pretty cool. Love Rocky 2, 3, the original. Love Rocky 4. Not so much 5. You can have Rocky 5. More than meets the eye. Little D&D action. And Voltron. I'll show you some of the stuff on the top shelves a little later. Right now we're just going through all the dioramas. Even Christmas Story. What other museum can you go to that has Halloween and Christmas Story? Ooh, there's some vintage Star Trek 3 figures back there. Love that. I really like Star Trek 3 a lot. Some people say only the even number Star Trek movies are good, but I tend to like them all. Yes, 1, 3, and 5 as well. Ooh, another great horror display here. That's fun. Golden Girls meets Alf. And the Terminator. Getting up into 1984 here with the Terminator. Avoid the Noid, people. There we are with Rocky 4. Love it. Labyrinth. I've been playing that pinball machine a lot lately. Have you guys played that Labyrinth pinball machine? The new one? It's excellent. Incredibly cool. Ooh, They Live. Mixed with some other movies, including Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, and Hellraiser. RoboCop. That movie holds up incredibly well. 1987, but it could have been filmed yesterday. It's amazing still. No soup for you. Yeah, Seinfeld, but no Friends. But you know what? No museum can have everything. Bill and Ted is awesome. A lot of fun. Let's round the corner here. Actually, let's go over here. Back to the Future Part 2. One of the all-time great Christmas movies there with Christmas Vacation. Edward Scissorhands, remarkable. And Home Alone. Interesting mashup. Coneheads and Beavis and Butthead, that makes sense.
Okay, okay. Oh, they got me.
Alien 3, I did not enjoy. I tried. Gremlins 2 is a lot of fun. Tombstone, one of my favorite Westerns. Oh, Dazed and Confused. That is just such a hard movie to watch. The first half of it basically is about bullying, which is really, I wasn't bullied at school, but man, it's just painful to watch. Uncomfortable. Just that they have these all laid out into dioramas is so freaking cool, including things like the Crow. You know, when I came to this museum, I didn't think, I know they'll have the Crow. Around every corner is something different, something you might not expect. Waterworld. Now, I like this movie a lot, and there's still a Waterworld show at Universal Studios. I know everybody hates on Waterworld, but I really enjoyed it at the theater, and then I watched it later on home video and enjoyed it again. Mars Attacks. My son saw that when he was probably too young, and it kind of freaked him out. But hey, that's good parenting. That's all I can say. One of our favorites, Buffy. Our whole family. And the Blues Brothers 2000. Again, we're going chronologically here in the museum. We continue down this aisle with some Deep Space Nine, which I think is very underrated. One of the most underrated Star Trek ever. I mean, just take the films, the TV shows. Deep Space Nine is awesome. Most people that give it a chance, and I know a lot of people don't want to watch something for several episodes before they get into it, but Deep Space Nine is worth it. Watch it for a couple of seasons, even if you're not feeling it. It is great. It gets really great in the third, fourth seasons with the Dominion and everything. Super dramatic. One thing I think it would be cool to see mixed in with some of this stuff is maybe some of the trading card packs. And I've seen that here and there, but it'd be cool if they'd mix in more and maybe a boxed video game here and there, but who am I to say? This is amazing like it is. Kevin Costner as Robin Hood. What did you think of that movie? Just let me know in the comments. Terminator 2. I was actually a little disappointed with Terminator 2 when it first came out because more lighthearted than the first movie, but with a second viewing, I just loved it from then on. Great film. Awesome action. Next Generation. Huge nostalgia for that show. Came out in '87, the same year I got my NES. Gotta have Ghostbusters, of course. With the new Cobra Kai. Nice to have some Karate Kid action here. Have you guys started watching Cobra Kai yet? Have you finished the season already? I watched the first couple of episodes and kind of seems like more of the same, but not bad. Let's round the corner here. Check out the many more dioramas here. Sons of Anarchy, that's a cool show. Like the first few seasons. Probably the first 2 or 3 seasons. Dexter was really good. Again, first couple of seasons were the best. The Office. Didn't like the last couple of seasons without Michael Scott, but it's a great show. Very funny. Holds up. Awesome. Anchorman is dumb, but hilarious. So his 40-year-old virgin's a little smarter than Anchorman, but it's just as funny. Elf, my favorite Christmas movie. Shrek is greatness. 24, that's some of the most addicting television I've ever watched. Ooh, The Iron Giant. One of the greatest animated science fiction movies, at least American anyway. I haven't seen a ton of Japanese science fiction movies. I'm sure there are many good ones. But man, I love me some Iron Giant. Alien Resurrection, better than Alien 3. And this wasn't a great Lost in Space movie, but they had some pretty cool toys. Godzilla had a few good scenes. Matthew Broderick, but not a great movie. Oh my gosh, the infamous Battlefield Earth with John Travolta. Tim Burton, Planet of the Apes, not great. Ooh, little Kill Bill, sweet. Well, Men in Black, one of my favorite displays here, Austin Powers. Not a big fan of Hercules with Kevin Sorbo, but love me some Xena Warrior Princess.
What are y'all doing? What we were doing Saturday,
Nice display. These modern figures just have so much detail, and they look so much like the creatures and the actors. Super impressive. And Firefly, my son told me he just watched that series for the first time and really enjoyed it.
We did have that one at home. We have that guy.
Never saw this movie. Van Helsing, I believe it is. Ooh, Lost, along with 24. This is one of the most addicting TV shows. Kids and I would watch 2 or 3 episodes each night. Awesome Walking Dead display here. Again, I like the first few seasons more than later ones. It tends to happen a lot with shows, although some shows like Next Generation hit their stride around season 3 or 4 or 5. It does happen. I love the Stranger Things exhibit. Never seen The Witcher. Let me know in the comments if you have seen The Witcher. Ghostbusters Afterlife, pretty good. Enjoyed the little reboot of the Ghostbusters. Haven't seen the most recent one though. All right guys, we could be here all day, but I want to show you the superhero room here shortly. Before we just get kind of a look at this room up above. So you've got all these showcases, but then on top are a ton more figures. And back here we've got some vintage Star Wars stuff, which is always cool to see. I built this model kit when I was a kid. Not this one, but I had me a X-Wing fighter model kit that I built back in the day. That might just be the toy, but I built a model kit of that back in the day, and that was one of the few. That and Godzilla were 2 of the only non-car, non-truck action or model kits I built back in the day. Those Ewok figures are super rare. Again, great to have vintage stuff mixed in with the new. All right, guys, here we go. For you superhero fans, it's time to get serious. Now, I noticed there's not a ton of vintage superhero toys back here, but it's still super impressive. Just to see all these figures in one place like this and laid out so well. And so many different ones. There's a Flash exhibit back here I'll show you guys in a minute that there are quite a few figures that I don't even own in my collection. This is a really impressive display here. Some of the most powerful beings in the Marvel Universe. Any Thanos fans here? Let me know in the comments. Captain America. So cool. Guardians of the Galaxy action here. Vintage Spider-Man poster there. Eternals. I never watched that show. It's a goofy little Flash guy down there. Ooh, look. There's also autographs mixed in through this collection. A lot of Batman and Superman stuff, as you might expect. At the end of the video, I will include some stills of a lot of this stuff because there's so many amazing displays that you guys might want to take a longer look at. I love this Batman TV show diorama. Grew up watching that and loving it. So freaking cool. Man, would I have not given to have a setup like this as a kid. This is really neat. Really high quality Batman figures from the various movies. There's some trading cards, packs. They look really neat. Mixed in with all the figures and whatnot. Firestorm. Man, I love the original Firestorm comic book series, the miniseries, and then the ongoing series back in the 70s and 80s. Loved it. Again, we're seeing a lot of Batman. And did I mention that there's a Flash figure display here and Green Lantern? I'll show you here in just a second. Let's get to it. So up here, more Batman, Justice League. That figure in the very back, that shiny one, I do not own. And you got some Green Lantern action here. I like that action shot here. Pretty cool. Not seeing any vintage Superpowers figures, but hey, he only opened last year. I'm sure he'll add a lot of more vintage as he goes. But again, these modern figures look so freaking cool. They're so nicely detailed that don't really miss the old stuff that much. All right, we'll get some more DC guys here. These very impressive, ginormous figures. You guys might have seen that Superman in my game room, looking over the place. Nice Aquaman display. And again, I like how he has the stuff in the background. Oh, just as I said that, there's nothing in the background here. But most of the displays, like this Black Adam one, have a nice background art. Do you guys like the original Harley Quinn design, or do you like the movie one? Let me know in the comments. I prefer the one from the cartoon and the comics, the original comics, but hey, that's just me. Maybe you too. Anyway, guys, we could be here for hours, but what I want to do, I want to go to the front of this museum and show you guys the little arcade they have set up and some of the video game figures and all that kind of stuff. Briefly, we will look at kind of the up above the figures here, the different decorations and displays briefly, and then we shall go out front. Right inside the door, you've got a Tron poster, which is always a great way to start. Got some Tron figures and signs here. And Tron Arcade 1-Up. And the Tron Evolution for either the 360 or PS3. Came with that. The special edition came with that nifty figure and light cycle there. Master Chief, of course, is very well represented. Scooby Gang. Ooh, I've got this old Tommy Electronic handheld there. And they've got Miss Pac-Man, Pac-Man, Rampage, Marvel Superheroes, Centipede, Mortal Kombat 2, Star Wars, Ninja Turtles. All the cool stuff. And check this out. This was donated by another toy shop that had bought a bunch of superhero figures, and they donated this incredibly cool, very tall Marie Osmond doll. That is awesome. Now let's have a word with the owner. But very briefly, let's look at the Kiss display, because you guys know I'm a hardcore Kiss fan. All right, now let's find out how this museum came about and the story behind it and just how he amassed this incredible collection of toys and figures. Hey guys, we're with the owner of the best little toy museum in Texas. His name is Steve, and he's done an awesome job here amassing these incredible collectibles. And tell me about this museum. Where did the idea come from, and how did it come about, and when?
The idea for the museum actually came from my stepdad. So my mom and him live up in northern Indiana, and he had sent me an article about a guy that was up there by where they live, where he had a superhero museum. And he used to run it out of his, he had a 2-story garage, detached garage.
Do you know what city that was in?
Either it was maybe Valparaiso or Elkhart or...
Which state?
Indiana.
Indiana, okay, got it. Anyway, that works.
You know, so I mean, he had a really cool collection and everything, and I had been talking about for years, because I've already outgrew the space in my house, was I wanted to build a separate building apart from the house. I was just going to do a giant oversized media room, something that had plenty of room.
And that was going to be just for you and your friends?
Yeah, that was just going to be for me and my friends. So
yeah.
My stepdad sends me the article, and he's like, you know, if you're really serious about building that home theater, instead of doing that, you should do what this guy's doing. So I'm reading the article, and in the article, the guy's talking about how he was having to change locations because he had over 10,000 people going through his property a year checking out his collection. So I got curious. I'm like, what does he have? You know?
Yeah.
So I go and, you know, I check it out, and he had really cool stuff. Don't want to take anything away from anything that he had.
Mm-hmm.
But I did feel like I just had more toys than what he had. He has a large comic book collection, but then also, you know, toys and life-size replica pieces and stuff.
Right.
And so that's kind of where the idea came from. I thought it was going to be a little bit further on down the road before I was going to be able to get to it, but
yeah.
I retired in 2021, and my retirement was a little bit better than I was expecting. So
okay.
I'm able to live off the retirement to where I could do this and not have to depend on this to pay any bills or anything. And as long as this isn't negatively affecting me, you know.
Right.
So I was always going to be
this
collecting anyway.
A labor of love?
It is. You know, it was just one of those things where, you know, I didn't think that, kind of like one of those pipe dreams. You always think it's just too far off in the distance for you to reach, and all the cards just kind of fell in place.
So if you've got a big dream, you can actually make it happen if you really work hard. Now, what did it take? You built this place or had it built?
I had it built, so I designed it in the computer, found a contractor to go build it. He did about maybe 3/4 of the drywall inside, and then I finished off the drywall, painted, moved in all the fixtures, hung all the pictures, set up every single figure. I mean, everything in here that you see, I personally placed it myself.
And this is your collection, basically.
This is. So,
and since you've opened up, have you had some people like donating and things like
yes.
that?
So I've had combination of people that would either donate a few pieces here and there. So like, there's the Elvis on the horse. One of my neighbors had given that for the museum. Another one there's one of Michael Jackson is still in the box from the 80s.
Oh yeah, right.
Another one brought that in, and a few others. And then I
I
also
mentioned the Marie.
Yes, and Marie Osmond, that came
cool.
from Jaden's Toys over there in Plano.
Oh yeah, we've been to Jaden's. It's a neat place.
Yes, he always, every time I go there, you know, I usually walk away
You
with
add
$100 less.
Right, so you're continually adding to this.
Every week I'm adding new pieces.
Right.
And but then I've also had other customers come in where they had stuff that they wanted to sell. So I recently had a customer come in with a large G.I. Joe collection where, you know, he knew he could sell it to the toy stores, but at the same time, the price that he would get for it there, he'd rather sell it to me for the same price.
Yeah.
And that way he knows everybody else can see it. And
right.
everything. So that's one of my future projects that I have is, you know, I got to build a large G.I. Joe display because I got everything from the USS Flag to, you know,
right.
the G.I. Joe headquarters.
Now, does that involve expanding this building?
I am. I do have plans on doing an expansion. I want to do a large deck off the back of the building, and then I'm going to get shipping containers, put them end on end, kind of move almost all the toys over in there, and make it to where now this would be more of a party barn where you'll still have the arcades. I'll move them in the center room.
Right.
I can get a lot more arcades there.
Yeah.
The rooms that are off to the sides, I can have it set up for birthday parties and everything.
Oh, great, yeah.
For events, but you'll still have a DC themed room, a Marvel themed room. I'll have extra Star Wars stuff in the middle with the arcades. Here will just be more. I'll bring my shuffleboard table that I have up at the house. I got a poker table, and I have all my board games down here. So if somebody just wants to grab a board game, sit down.
Well, you'll have to change the name to the best little toy museum and party, whatever in Texas. Well, that's a great idea because you'll have a new clientele and have people just come up here and hang out. And
Right, and with the deck, it's also I want to start working with some of the food trucks where I can have a different food truck that comes in every night that I'm open. So now you have a place where you can go eat. You have a place where
maybe you can have a band play outside.
You can do that. You can also do movies.
Well, we'll definitely be back.
I got all kinds of ideas.
Right, sure.
Things to do that. I have 5 acres, so I got plenty of land to expand on and everything.
So why Wylie, Texas?
I live here. I live on the property.
That's a great reason.
I couldn't justify spending $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a month in rent for the size of a place that I would need when I could just build here on my property.
That's great. There was no problem with city ordinances or anything?
No, I'm outside the city limits, so I just had to go through the county, and
excellent.
So it's a little bit more lax,
Right.
But yeah, so right now zoning's all in my favor, and anything that I do put up, if they change the zoning later on, I'm grandfathered in. So
Excellent, man. That sounds all good, man. That sounds excellent. So have you been to the National Video Game Museum up the street?
I have. I was there in Frisco. Took my boys over there a few weeks ago, and
awesome.
I was pleasantly surprised because I saw the number of people that were walking in there. I'm like,
yeah, right.
They know about this.
Yeah, and you could even have like the National Video Game Museum will have like groups of school kids come out and stuff. This would be a neat place for that, especially when you expand. All right, well, thank you so much. Anything else you want to tell my viewers about the best little toy museum in Texas?
Well, we're open 11 to 8, Thursday through Sunday. And
you have a website?
I do.
I'll link to it.
Yeah,
and you can Google it. Best Little Toy Museum in Wylie, Texas. All right, thanks, Steve.
Appreciate you coming out.
Yeah, thanks for letting us look around.
No problem.
All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for liking this video. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Let me know what you thought of this amazing museum. The diorama aspect of it is amazing. I've never seen a museum quite like this. Let me know what you thought. Talk to you in another video.